Hello, this is Distinti's World, video number 11. We're going to talk today about the greater good. What is it? What does this term, the greater good, mean? And we're often told that we need to sacrifice things for the benefit of the greater good. The concept of the greater good goes by many other names: the collective good, the needs of the many, the benefits of society, others. Things sacrificed include rights, property, money, which includes taxes and life. What exactly is this greater good that we're sacrificing for? Well, first, let's go back. Understand why people came together to live as a whole. If you had the guy out there, the caveman, I couldn't find a picture of a woolly mammoth on clip art, so this is all clip art. I got an elephant standing as a woolly mammoth. Okay, if the single individual tries to go up and hunt by themselves, the likelihood that they're going to get stomped on is a high probability if they don't get outright eaten by another self-predatory or other predatory animal. So when people work together, their outcome is better, and the individual's outlook improves because the individual is more likely to eat if he hunts with others. Okay, there's also safety in numbers. Okay, which clan are you more likely to survive if they decide they're going to go beat each other over the head? You're going to be better off in this clan. And then what happened is people specialized. Instead of every man having to be part of the hunter, every man providing his own club, every man providing his own, I don't know what those are, jockey shorts, every man having to groom his own beard, people specialized, and people could get very good at one thing: candle making, blacksmithing. Some people would be better hunters, would hunt, clay pot makers, weavers, etc., etc. And because of this, people's skills were optimized, and you had better. So everybody, when hunting, went better hunting with better spears, and they had better clothes. And so the individual lot in life for the individuals improve. But then leaders emerge, and then one time they find out that if people are properly trained and led, that a smaller force can be a superior force. Okay, and then what happens is later you have a technology boom. And then individuals now live better than they ever have, perhaps even too good. So what's the greater good? It seems that civilization and good leadership improve the life expectancy and living standards of the individual. So what's this greater good that we're conditioned to sacrifice our wealth and our lives to? This catchphrase. I'll tell you, it's corrupted leadership. Please follow. Let's go back. Because things got better by following the dictates of the good leader, people stopped questioning the leader. It became bad, even disrespectful, to question the good leader. All right, that's not a problem. But then what happens is eventually the good leader dies or is murdered. And power vacuums are typically created by and filled by the most violent, nasty abominations of man. Every revolution that has ever occurred, except for the American Revolution, the idealists are usually pushed aside by the brutes and the gangsters who take over for their own personal benefit. And I think the only reason why the American Revolution didn't have that is because there was no power vacuum. We separated from England. We didn't overthrow the king, we separated. So it wasn't really a revolution in the classical sense where there was a power vacuum left afterwards. Okay, so think about it. In the early days, food production was a tedious, back-breaking task. Manual farming could barely produce enough food to feed the peasant and his family, let alone the pharaoh and his court. So in order for the bad leader to live in opulence, everyone else had to sacrifice. For him to live good, everyone else had to sacrifice. But more was needed. The bad leader just can't say you must sacrifice so I can live in opulence. He'd have a revolution on his hands. So religion is usually corrupted, and the religion usually tells people that it's a virtue to live a sparse, tedious life. Enjoying life is a sin. And for your sacrifice, though, you're going to be rewarded in heaven with eternal life and all that other stuff. All of that is to get people to openly accept slavery, because they're going to get some reward in the afterlife that the pharaoh doesn't, and the religious people do not have to pay off on. But then the leaders become even more greedy. They always want more. This requires the people to suffer even more. This drives people to the breaking point of revolution. So to prevent a revolt, it becomes necessary to convince the people that their sacrifice investment in their bloated government is justified. So what they usually do is create an external threat. They go blame those other people, just like North Korea blames America, and everyone blames another country, or every dictator in the past has always found some other country to blame as the cause of the suffering of their people. And usually they pick on an easy target. And then they'll do propaganda, even false flag events, where they'll cause something to happen and make it look like the other people did it, just so that they can get their people ginned up for war. This is actually the concept, a part of the concepts of the book 1984 by George Orwell. And it turns out that war is the only option for bad leaders. Okay, because the leader gets to blame someone else for the poverty of their people. And this is the only outcome, I'm sorry, for North Korea. In my personal opinion, they're eventually going to have to go to war, because the people there, in my understanding, are starving. And eventually, their love of their leader, they can't eat the love of their leader, so eventually the leader's going to have to distract them by throwing them all off to war. And think about it, if the leader wins, the bad leader gets the spoils of war. He gets more territory to enslave for his own opulence. And then the people there will say, gee, we beat those other people, just like the government said. The government is justified. The government must be true. And if the bad leader loses, it doesn't matter. He was going to be out the door from the pending revolution anyway. So, but what is this greater good? It's just a term of enslavement. But what about the movie Star Trek? The movie Star Trek made very popular the expression, the Wrath of Khan, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or the one. Well, first of all, the needs of the many are not different than the needs of the few or the one. Everyone wants to live. And second, Spock was dead either way. It's not like he had a choice. There was no option where he could put his survival above anyone else's. He didn't have a warp-capable escape pod that no one else knew about. He was dead either way. So this wasn't a choice of weighing one over the many. He was dead either way. It was a ridiculous statement. And it really has nothing to do with the needs of the many outweighing the needs. It has to do with cutting losses so that as many as can survive as possible. You could have easily had a situation where the majority have to perish in order for a few to survive. Okay? And because now your population is smaller, the quality of life and safety of the individual diminished. So there's no way to sacrifice some to improve the lives of others. And these situations usually occur due to bad leadership or the superiority of the opposing force in either numbers or cleverness. When you're talking in terms of a military situation anyway. Furthermore, according to the next movie, Spock did what was in his own best interest to survive. So you could argue that his need to survive caused him to save the rest of the crew, a win-win situation, which has nothing to do with many or few. If everyone survives, it has nothing to do with the many or the few. It's a false argument. And this also supports the argument of this video that the needs of the one and the needs of the many are the same damn thing. There is no such thing as a common good which requires sacrifice. People work together to enhance their individual standard of living. Okay, in closing, the man who speaks to you of sacrifice is speaking of slaves and masters and intends to be the master. That was written by Ayn Rand. Thank you very much. You can tell by this video that I think about a lot of things other than science. Take care.